Linus Tech Tips coverage of Computex 2013 is powered by Western Digital. Our trusted gaming gear partner is Corsair Vengeance, and our trusted retail partner is ncix.com. Guys, we're here in the Gigabyte component suite where they've got all their new wares on display. We have a wall of motherboards here. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to talk about the exact details of all of them, but this is something that had my attention drawn to it. This is a Computex Dni Award, so that's a Design and Innovation Award arranged by IF, which is basically a third party saying, yes, the design is good, the innovation is good, and if it's anything like the tradition we've seen before with Gigabyte, it's probably true. So they're continuing with their ultra durable design. So this is ultra durable 5 plus, but we're going to focus on what separates the different lines, because right now there is differentiation between their gaming boards. So this particular gaming board, this is the G1 Sniper 5, has a completely upgraded cooling design. So it's air cooling for the MOSFETs here, or liquid cooling for the MOSFET simply by plugging 3/8" hoses into this, and you can use this with something like a DIY all-in-one cooler, such as the Cooler Master Iceberg, for example, or you can build it into your completely custom loop. You've got some of those onboard overclocking features, things like a post LED readout, onboard power button, so not quite to the same extent as an overclocking-centric board. You've got full support for 4-way graphics card configurations, whether it's in Crossfire or SLI, but this is where it really comes into its own as what makes it gaming optimized. It's got a killer NIC built in, and check this out. They have completely upgraded their onboard audio solution. Gigabyte actually pioneered the whole putting better onboard audio on motherboards for crying out loud thing with their G series. That was the first time we saw it where someone actually went, yeah, we're gonna like actually do this in a way that's meaningful. And check this out, they're upping the ante again with swappable op amps. So on all of the G1 series refresh boards, check that out, swappable op amps on the mITX version, swappable op amps on the B85 version, and then swappable op amps even on the AMD version. So there's now a G1 Sniper A85X. Now I want to talk about this one for a moment because I kind of raised an eyebrow when they told me B85 chipset gaming board. I went, well, what do you mean gaming board B85 chipset? You can't even overclock. And they said, you know what? Not all gamers overclock. Some gamers want a better LAN solution built into their board and a better audio solution built into their board, and they don't want to overclock. And I'm, okay, fine. Okay, fair enough. Save some money, don't overclock, get better audio and better LAN solution, and swappable op amps. Very nice. Now let's move on to the overclocking board. So this is a very similar air/liquid extreme heatsink design. It's also got an active fan as well as liquid cooling barbs. But check this out. This is where the overclocking heritage really comes in compared to gaming. So rather than having a fancy audio solution and onboard killer networking, this one has all the onboard buttons you could want, all the onboard voltage readouts you could want, post LED readout. Oh, cool. You can turn the PCI Express lanes on and off. This is extremely handy for benchmarking because you don't want to be ripping things on and off all the time. And check this out. Actually, okay, hold on. So 4-way graphics card support, so that's in Crossfire or SLI, but let's move on to the next one. So that's the Force, that's the flagship board. Now we've got the Z87X OC. Check this out. This is the kind of thing that someone like me who tests on an open platform all the time would love to see. Built-in front USB ports that you don't have to reach around the back of the board to get access to. So this one is more of the bare bones, nothing extra, purest overclocking board, whereas the Force is more of a generally flagship board in general. Moving on, we've got the ultra durable series. So this one right here, again, you find features that aren't necessarily relevant to gamers or to overclockers, things like Thunderbolt, but this is also a very high-end board in its own right. You're going to be able to run 4-way Crossfire, 4-way SLI. You've got all of those built-in overclocking features, all that cool stuff, but just to not quite the same sort of degree of optimization for these particular uses that the other two boards are. Now let's move all the way down over to the very end here, where we've got this guy right here, Z87 and Wi-Fi. So there's a Z87 mITX board. This is performance optimized. You're going to be able to overclock on it, which is very, very cool. But right over here, they've asked me to specifically draw attention to this board. There's now an FM2 ITX board from Gigabyte. And what's cool about this one is it's using the same voltage delivery components as you find on the OC class boards. This board under liquid nitrogen has actually been up to, what did they say, 5.8 gigahertz or something ridiculous like that with an FM2 CPU. So very, very cool stuff. Let's move on to graphics cards. Correction, that was 6.7 gigahertz overclock on this particular board using liquid nitrogen. Also, it supports AMD's wireless display. And maybe we shouldn't move on to graphics cards just yet because there's a couple cool things over here that they have on display in the suite. So this is related to the overclocking board as well as the gaming board. So they've got a blown up version of all the overclocking buttons and pretty much everything you can do with them. Everything from debug display to CPU ratio up and down to changing your multiplier up and down so you can switch to single BIOS mode, dual BIOS mode, dip switch. All this stuff is built right into the board, and this is kind of a cool button. You can press this button, but I don't think it actually does anything. But don't worry, on the motherboard it will. And then this one right here, they're showing off what makes the gaming boards gaming. So that's the upgradable op amp, which we talked about before already. Oh, check that out. Hee-hee. That's hilarious. Love it. As well as the dedicated audio zone on the PCB, but we've been seeing this for a while from Gigabyte. And then here they have a pretty cool demo of the liquid cooling hybrid solution that you can hook up on these boards.